to live to tape, however you want to say it. Leroy has a busy life. My life isn't as busy, but I like to do stuff, and we couldn't do a live Saturday press play, so we're getting
Only
some
reason
taped.
why we couldn't do it, and honestly, we might have been able to do it, but I have guests in town. My nephew's in town, and so we wanted to plan a like spectacular weekend for him and the boys. So we're gonna do, with weather permitting, we're gonna do a touch a truck, where you take the kids and they get to touch dump trucks, fire engines, cop cars. Um, and then we're going to do Soda City, which is the the festival where they shut down Main Street, and then local vendors, food trucks come through. Then they'll take a nap. We'll ride out to the countryside and we'll go to a farm where it has a petting zoo, all kind of different animals. So we'll do that. And another day we're going to try to do strawberry picking. So I'm trying to make this, like his parents dropped him off, spend the weekend with us. So it's like a nice, fun, adventurous weekend. So I don't want to like not have something, or like be running up against the gun trying to put them to bed and then like rush. So I was like, let's tape it.
I mean, yeah, you say all that, but I'm gonna be watching Fast X and 4DX, and I don't want to talk to y'all afterwards. I want to be in my own thoughts, loving what
See,
I just saw.
see, I'm the opposite. I would love to talk to y'all afterwards. I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted to just get online after
Uh huh.
Guardians because I was like, hey, I need to talk to somebody about this. And I looked around and it was a SpongeBob bee. Well, boy was like, I had nobody. I needed y'all.
There
So
we go. So yeah, we were talking about Sony PlayStation. They have a showcase coming up
May 24th.
May 24th. What is that? A Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a Wednesday at sometime 4 p.m. Eastern, maybe something like that.
Also known as New Comic Book Day.
Yeah, there we go. So we were kind of going to spend this hour just discussing what do we think is going to be at this showcase.
Sony
Leroy has
is
a list. I have a list.
Sony's going to take over the world.
I mean, you say that, right? And it's kind of joking, but kind of serious because their main competitor really isn't being competitive. It's not, We did our last press play that you guys can see. Bill Spencer did an interview. We both think it was cool of him to do that. Some people were upset with what he said. We
Some
think,
people felt that it was that he shouldn't have done it, that he was too honest, that he said some things that people disagreed with, and we were like, you know what, we I disagree. I like we both have said. I feel like in this age, we're always upset when CEOs or people who are in charge of companies have these interviews where they don't say anything or they give these political answers. And here's Phil Spencer, who after a hard week, Microsoft had a very tough week. They had the Activision deal blocked by the CMA. That same week, it was announced that hardware sales were down 30%, and Redfall came out. All that happened in the same week.
mhm,
And Phil Spencer kept his promise, showed up the kind of funny XCast,
mhm.
and had an hour-long interview where he was honest. And people were like, "We don't like this honesty." It's like, well, which one do you want, man? Like the dude actually, like, I wish more CEOs were that honest. And he came out and he said, "Hey, this is where we are." So you're right. Microsoft has not been as competitive. They, I have been on the record to saying, and as much as I want Xbox to be competitive because I think they push Sony, I think this showcase could potentially be damaging to Microsoft in the sense of if Sony comes out with a handful of with the titles I think they could drop, this could be the beginning of the end for at least this generation console wise for Microsoft
I
when it
mean,
comes to
some
gaming.
people may argue it's already happened. you know, Based on Phil Spencer's thing, some
Yeah,
people may argue he already thinks it has.
yeah,
But I think a thing we were both kind of saying is with this showcase, even if they did the bare minimum of just maintaining where they were, I think they would still show that they were dominant over Xbox because Xbox continues to step on so many rakes. So over
crazy.
the next hour or so, we were just
Rake
going to
after
talk
rake
about,
after
yeah,
rake.
rake after rake, that Simpsons cartoon or whatever, the gift of the Simpson thing, the guy stepping on the rake. we were just going to talk about different development studios, what games we think they can show, whatever the services they think they can show. So I don't
Mhm.
know where you want to start.
I mean, you kick it off. So because here's the thing, we talked about this for a while, and do you believe, in your opinion, this showcase could be the beginning of this coffin that Sony builds for Microsoft, at least for this generation? Because in other words, could the games that they show be another step in showing that Sony knows how to make first party titles where Microsoft doesn't?
I mean, it could be, but I almost feel like it's so tough because Microsoft has kind of walked that line of they've been in the dominant position for a while in terms of just showing off these great first party games, and I don't know what I would
And
need
listen,
for them to. I don't know what I would need them to show to be like, oh my gosh, they really buried Microsoft, because I kind of feel like this showcase is gonna. I feel like it's gonna be killer, and I don't know what I'm expecting, like announcement wise. Well, I mean, there are a couple things that I would be really happy to see that I don't think would happen, but for me, it would mean the world. Like I can tell you, for example, I'm sure it's not in development, but if somehow Sony were to announce that Square Enix is making a Chrono Trigger remake in the same vein as the Final Fantasy VII remake, I'd be like, "Yep, okay, here we go." And it's only coming to PlayStation. That'd be fantastic. Like maybe we redraw the 2D hands pixel art, or they make it HD, whatever. They do whatever they did for the 2.5 HD for like Octopath Traveler and stuff like that. That would be awesome. A Project Triangle Strategy, all that stuff.
okay, I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm trying. So I'm pulling up games that could potentially be announced. So let's start with. Oh, I forgot I had this.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I may watch this tonight.
I just
Yeah,
finished watching that before we started doing our thing right now.
yeah. That's what I was like. I may watch that tonight. So so let's start with what is we know is going to be announced. We know that there are.
And when you say no, what do you mean no? Like they've announced this is going to be at the thing, or this is what's been reported?
I'm going to say that we have a good suspicion that this is going to be announced.
Okay.
And so when I say a suspicion, I say, and I'm looking for it and I don't see it. That's why I was trying to find it. Um, Spider Man, Spider Man 2.
Hmm.
I was going to say that's probably a good assumption. We're going to see some gameplay from Spider Man 2. Spider Man 2 is supposed to drop in the fall. Um,
Because
from this,
as of right now, as great as Sony has been, I think the question is, so what's next for Sony? Because they keep dropping stuff, but beyond Spider-Man, we don't really know. Like big first party, we don't know what Sony's working on. We know people are
well,
working on stuff, but we don't know
we
what's
do
coming out.
we hold on. We do know we do know certain things. We do know they're working on a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. We know that's been announced. We know that there is Konami's working on something.
Not first party.
Not first party, true, but it's we know that let's run through some of the studios that Sony has based on your list,
Okay.
and let's talk about like certain things we know that they. So Spider-Man is a known property we know is supposed to be scheduled to come out this year.
So that
So
is Insomniac Games.
Insomniac Games. So
Yes.
what else is Insomniac known for?
Uh, so Insomniac has become a bigger studio in recent memory since it got acquired by PlayStation.
Hmm.
We know they're working on at least two games, Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine,
Yes,
because we've seen a cinematic for Wolverine.
for both of them, for Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
If I
but
had to guess,
now remember, last what was their last game? Insomniac had
uh,
Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank in 2021.
So, and Ratchet and Clank was one of the Ratchet and Clank for the PlayStation 5 was the game everybody highlighted and said that is the future of gaming. What they did, what Insomniac did with Ratchet and Clank, the idea of there were no load screens, jumping from worlds to worlds, that was one of the things that when they said this is, even though the PlayStation 5 is current gen, they were like, that's what next gen is.
Mhm.
So, so go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, so I mean, I imagine if they have one studio in the or one department working on Spider-Man 2, another one's working on Wolverine, I don't imagine they have a third group of people doing stuff. Like I feel like they probably always have pre-production things, so they could be working on a Ratchet and Clank thing. Ratchet and Clank is a series that they're known for, so something could be in the pipeline. But I feel like we're just going to see Spider-Man 2. Maybe we see another Wolverine thing, but I'm kind of 50-50 on that because I agree with you. We will see more Spider-Man 2. We will see actual gameplay because I don't think we've
Yes,
seen gameplay yet of
we've
Spider-Man, just
not.
a bunch of cinematic stuff.
We've seen one cinematic trailer
Yeah. So
that
that would
had
be interesting to see that.
Venom at the end of it,
Right.
and I think Venom
Um,
was voiced by Tony Dodd. Is that correct?
Tony Todd, yeah.
Tony Todd. Thank you.
Yeah.
I said Dodd, didn't I?
You did. It's fine. Um, I don't know. On the one hand, I could see you showing more another Wolverine cinematic. But on the other hand, maybe you just want to focus everything on Spider-Man 2 because that seems to be the next biggest game coming out for Sony, the
Yes.
next biggest first-party game coming out for Sony. So maybe you hold off and you don't show Wolverine. So I'm kind of 50-50 on whether or not we see any more Wolverine stuff.
So what? So we know that Spider-Man 2 is coming out.
Mhm.
Miles Morales, Peter Parker, Venom. Now, my question is: Venom a playable character in this game, or is he a villain?
I think he's a villain.
But but here's the question.
I think he's a
Because
villain that you don't play as.
see that's a here's my question.
Mhm.
Are you going Spider-Man? Because we've seen this before. How does the game play? Do you play as Peter Parker or choose to play as Miles Morales? In other words, you can play either one of these characters, or do you start as one and then you start as another one?
Sure.
Or is this a game where two different characters, the game changes depend on who you play? So, in other words, kind of like Resident Evil 2 and 3, the stories overlap, but the story is different based on what character you play.
Yeah.
Or is it co op?
I think I feel like the rumor is that it's co-op, but we haven't seen it yet. So that could be a big reveal that maybe
Hmm.
and in my producer mind, as I feel like you would do this, is you show part of the game you playing as Peter Parker,
Hmm.
and then there's like a flash frame or something, and then you show part of the game you playing as Miles Morales. So you get the idea, and you think, oh, okay, so I get it. You're going to be able to maybe one person switches between the two, but then some way or another, the player that you're not playing as comes in, and you're like, okay, this is where you switch the character. But nope, you see two people controlling, and that's how they reveal that it's co-op.
Because my question is it is it co-op or would it be because it could be cool if you did this. Is it co-op or is it where you can switch between them interchangeably? Or again, you play as one character the entire time, and then the other character is controlled AI, a la God of War, where the entire time you're playing Kratos, right?
No.
In the first game, most of the
Okay,
time,
sure. Yeah.
so
All right.
what I'm saying is you play as Kratos, right?
Uh-huh.
And then AI controls it, and then you can switch. And that's why I said I'm interested in this game because all we've gotten is a cinematic trailer and we haven't been told what this could be. And I still think, even though I know you say he may be a villain in this, I think Venom is a playable character.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool twist.
Maybe not in the beginning, but I do believe because remember, Mary Jane was a playable character in the first Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was stupid.
I didn't say whether it was stupid or not. I just
I'm
said she was
telling you, it was stupid. I'll tell
playable.
you.
But I'm
And see if
intrigued.
that go ahead.
I'm intrigued by this game only because no. Let me take it back. I'm intrigued by this game because it is one of Sony's golden gooses. It was a launch title for the PS5. It is a game that Sony has made serious money off of, whether it was the original one, the Game of the Year edition, or the PC port that came out last year. So I feel like this game is going to be one that they spend a lot of money on and a lot of development on to make it a title that has some longevity to it.
Sure. Um, if Venom does become playable, I don't want to know about it here.
Really,
I'd rather that be a surprise that you find out in game. Honestly,
I
like
don't know
for
if they
me,
can
a
keep
big
that.
surprise would be that it's co-op and you showing it off. Like I don't need to know every single thing about the game now. Let me find out some stuff when I actually
Okay,
play it.
so do you think because we got a Ratchet and Clank game before Insomniac, was it 2 years ago? Do you
Yeah,
think they could be announcing DLC for Ratchet and Clank?
I don't know because I don't really know. Ratchet and Clank doesn't get a lot of DLC on their games. It's usually just kind of a standalone, and then they'll make another
Or
game.
what was the other character that you got to play as? The female fox character or whatever. What is Ratchet?
Lombax,
What is it called?
Lombax.
Lombax.
Mhm.
Could
Her name
she
was
be?
Rivet.
Could she be getting her own game?
Possibly.
Because here's the thing. That's how we did Spider-Man. You had Peter Parker, you had Miles Morales in there, and then Miles got his own game later on.
Hmm.
Could Rivet get her own little mini game, which is about 30, well, what, about 50, about 40 or 50 bucks? It's like a 10-hour campaign.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, here's Rivet's game. Because
It's possible.
that would be interesting. Because again, it's not, what I'm saying is it's not in the outside of the realm of possibility because Insomniac has done it before.
Yeah, yeah. Um, all right, so that is Insomniac. We're going to go through a list here of studios. We'll start with development studios. These aren't in alphabetical order, any order. These are in order of how I wrote them off of Wikipedia.
Mhm.
So here we go. Team Asobi. Are you familiar with them?
Let me look at your list because I may know some of their games. So they're the people who did Astro's Playroom, right?
Uh huh.
Um,
The game I told you to play that you never did.
I got busy, man.
You ain't got that busy. You could be playing it right now while while we're doing this.
But then I wouldn't be able to spend this time with you.
I'll be fine.
No, you won't.
Mhm.
I love how you're being responsible drinking water and I'm drinking Cheerwine Ale
I'm just trying to increase my water intake.
from the Noda Brewing Company.
Yeah.
So what do you think they're going to announce? Or do you
Well,
think
I
that?
don't. So when I wrote all these weren't like, oh, I think they're going to announce stuff. I was just letting you know
Oh,
all the
okay.
studios they had
Okay.
and the last thing that they made.
Okay.
The last thing that they had was Astro's Playroom, which was in 2020.
Hmm.
They are the people who are known for making like tech demos and proof of concept stuff for PlayStation. Because the Astro's Playroom was with PS5. Before
Yep.
that, they had the Playroom thing, which came on the PS4, which is kind of an editing software stuff. And then they had Astrobot Rescue Mission, which was a VR thing that kind of was a proof of concept for the first PSVR.
Now, Astro's
Um,
Playroom, from what you've told me and what everybody has talked about, is a very good introduction to what the PlayStation 5 can do and how the controller works, correct?
yeah, yeah, it really showed off a lot of the cool stuff in the DualSense.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
I don't know if they're going to have anything here. I would like that because I think Astro's Playroom is good. I think Sony values the team because of how they're able to showcase their hardware.
mhm.
But with that said, I don't know if they're working on maybe on a PSVR 2 game because we know PSVR 2 came out earlier in the year.
It's a $550 hat.
Yeah, and it did not sell like they wanted it to.
Well, I mean,
Um, the numbers the numbers don't lie. They did not move as many units as they wanted to begin with.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know why they thought that was gonna be a good idea, considering we're in inflation and everybody didn't even have a PS5. They just now got to the point where you can walk into a store. Like a matter of fact, I texted you, like, oh shit, you can buy a PlayStation 5 now. Like,
Mhm.
just walk in because the day I texted you that picture and I posted on our Instagram page, that was the first time I'd seen one on the shelf. So that's why I feel like PlayStation or Sony was like, "Yeah, we're gonna make this expensive hat in the middle of when people are spending $3 and $4 for a carton of eggs, and everybody doesn't have a PS5."
Yeah.
To me, that was a dumb business decision. But I don't have an MBA, so what do I know?
Yeah, so I don't know if Team Asobi will be here or not. but I think I would love to see another Astro development thing or something from them. I think that would be cool. Give them a quick little 5 minute, hey, this is what we're working on. This is some new technology or some new tech. I think that would be great.
Now, here's the people I do think are going to be there. Your next list is Ben Studios,
Uh huh.
and I know a lot of people. I liked it. I love this game. Uh,
Days Gone was 2019.
Yep, I love
Yeah.
this game. It's not the best game of all time. I think a lot of the characters, their motivations are dumb. Some people got on my nerves, but the mechanics of this game, after they patched it, was a fun game. I played this game through and through 3 times. I enjoy this game. I thought the motorcycle mechanics were very good. I think the problem that happened with this game is it came out a little bit in the same window as the juggernaut that it is Last of Us. So, in order to set yourself apart from that, you've got to be top notch, and they did.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people have asked for a part 2 because they've subsequently bought the game, they've played it, and they've enjoyed it. But Ben says that their Sony told them, and this has been reported, they have been told they cannot make a Days Gone 2. They're working on a new IP. Now, according to your list, they are Bubsy 3D, Siphon Filter. They've done Uncharted portable games. Out of all of that, I wonder if the new IP is something new or Siphon Filter.
It's a
Because
new IP. What you mean?
I I think here's the thing. I think people play fast and loose with terminology. I think a new IP could be something that they have already done. And Siphon Filter would be one of those titles, I think.
I don't feel like
And
they would say it's a new IP.
I see, and that's where I disagree. Because we've seen studios lie before and
Uh huh.
say, "Oh, we're working on a new IP," and the new IP is, "Oh," and you're like, "Well, that's not a new IP." So that's why I said I wonder if it is, because a lot of people have been asking for Siphon Filter. I believe on the new consoles, a Siphon Filter game would work. So
Okay. I'm wondering, based on the stuff that they've made before in terms of Days Gone, Siphon Filter, Uncharted stuff, I wonder if it's going to be a third person game. I
mhm.
imagine, like, I feel like they have the chops to do some type of third person action game. And I don't know beyond that what it would be or what the hook would be, but I think they'd be their studio that could do that based on the stuff they did with. I didn't play Days Gone, but I know Days Gone was really cool in terms of the engine having these mass group of. They're not
Mhm.
called zombie. Are they called zombie? What are they called in Days Gone?
They're called
Mass group of people. It doesn't matter.
no, they're
Whatever
called
they're called.
something.
It yeah. But
Freakers.
freakers. Okay, these mass group of freakers.
Freakers.
Seeing them populate the screen, that could be
Mhm.
cool technology to see on a PS5 hardware,
Here's my
because
question.
you would have fewer limitations to really push that freaker technology, those mass groups of people.
Here's my question about like the thought process behind. So we know that Days Gone is being optioned as a TV show. Sony is the arms dealer when it comes to not having their own streaming service, but
They got
license.
Crackle.
Huh?
They got Crackle.
I said what I said.
Dang.
Um, but licensing their content to other streaming services. So we know that they will make something and then they will allow somebody else to stream it. I think it's very interesting that they are going to make a TV show about this game, but not have a game out in conjunction with it. So I would not be surprised because they are working on a new IP, but I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't have a PS5 upgrade, not a remaster. You know what? Maybe a remaster, not a remake, but maybe a remaster for the PS5 that comes out in conjunction with the game because they were told they can't make a sequel, but there's nothing against them saying, "Hey, we did a remaster of this for the PS5 in conjunction with that new property, that new title coming out." So that's how I feel about Ben, and that's where I stand.
Okay.
What's your next studio you want to?
Next up, we got Blue Point Games. Blue Point Games has made a name for themselves for remaking or remastering different games into HD. They did the God of War collection,
Mhm.
Ico and Shadow of the Colossus collection. They did Metal Gear Solid HD collection, Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, Gravity Rush Remastered, Shadow of the Colossus for PS4. And then their thing whenever like, oh man, these guys can really do remake stuff was the Demon Souls remake in
Mhm.
2020 for PS5.
A lot of people like that game.
Yeah. So I mean, they could be working on a remake game for something. I don't know. Maybe. And I'm looking at these different games that they worked on. They're all kind of different. Like you have in terms of the gameplay, whether it's action adventure game or more type of a puzzle game, a platform,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. So they kind of have the chops to do a little bit of everything. Who says they're not making like a Siphon Filter remake or something or
Okay.
remaster? Just because they don't necessarily work on new IP themselves, they work on kind of older stuff and stuff that they didn't create, but they kind of find a new way to bring that to light. So I think they could be here with something, possibly Siphon Filter. I think Ben's studio will show up whatever they're working on, maybe concept art or something like that.
Okay.
Um, After Blue Point, we got Fire Sprite.
Oh,
Fires,
okay. Go ahead.
yeah. After Blue Point, we got Fire Sprite. They're kind of a support studio that has helped with the Playroom, Run Sackboy Run, the Persistence, and they did it. They did a. I don't know if they were the lead developer, but they definitely helped Guerrilla Games with Horizon Call of the Mountain.
Is
That just
that the
came out.
VR game?
Yes, that just came out 2023.
Okay.
Now they just since that just came out, I don't know that they're going to be here, just because I don't really know them beyond being support. And if they just did something on support, I don't know that they would be here to show anything off.
But they could be named with another studio. In other words, like say a Ben Studios, and then Fire Sprite is helping them.
Sure.
So that's because we in these game announcements they always announce who's working on it and who's helping. Is that a fair assessment?
It depends, but yeah, that does happen. Yeah.
Okay. Here's where I think, um, and I here's the one that I'm interested in. I know Gorilla just got finished with Horizon.
Hmm. The DLC just came out within the last 2 months.
Yes.
Hmm.
But I think there are two things that they could be working on that they could actually talk about. Now, I because you listed it. One is the Decima engine, which powered Death Stranding. We know there's going to be a Death Stranding 2. We saw that trailer at the Video Game Awards. I think we see more from that. And
Well, then,
I
to be fair, that wouldn't be Guerrilla. That would be whatever Kojima's. What is Kojima Productions?
yes, but
Yeah.
I think they're going to highlight the fact that it's Guerrilla Games because Guerrilla just did a video. I think it's very interesting. Guerrilla just did a I don't want to say a 20-year video, but did you see their that
Nope.
promotional piece of video where they had all of Killzone and then they had Horizon, then they had the VR game, and they
Hmm.
were like, "Thank you for, thank you for supporting us, whatever." I think a new Killzone game is in the making, and I think they're going to announce it May 24th.
Okay. Um.
Because here's the thing: two things I think that's going to fuel them making Killzone, and it's a thing. It's something that's been percolating for a while. The Microsoft Activision deal just got approved in the EU,
EU. Uh huh.
and it was approved in Brazil. The CMA and the UK have said we're not approving this. The FTC or the is it FTC?
FCC.
FCC has sued Microsoft over this deal.
Ours is FTC. I don't know. One of them. Whatever. Who cares?
Either way, Sony has not signed and have not accepted the 10-year deal that Microsoft said for Call of Duty. I think it would be in Sony's best interest to make their own first party FPS game that is theirs on their platform. For
Sure.
the day that will happen after that 10-year deal, whether Sony takes it or not, expires, and Call of Duty is a Game Pass Microsoft exclusive. And in order to combat that, you would need to build your own first party game that is a FPS. And Killzone is already a known property. They haven't had a Killzone game since the PS4's launch, and that was Shadowfall. I think having a Killzone game would be in their best interest. So
Okay,
I
question for you then.
go ahead.
They have two different FPS games that they could work on. They have
Mm-hmm.
Killzone from Guerrilla Games. They have
SOCOM.
no,
Oh,
what are you talking about? SOCOM.
Resistance.
Yeah,
Resistance.
Resistance, which is Insomniac.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you think we would see first?
Killzone.
Okay, you think that was more popular than Resistance? Because
I,
I don't know. I don't have a
I honestly I feel like Killzone's the easiest to do.
okay game
Um,
developer.
and the reason why I say it is because story wise, it's you've already had a Killzone recently on a PS4. We haven't seen Resistance since the PS3. I think it might be easier to do because it's been more recent in the minds of people to do another Killzone game since it wasn't that long ago that you had one. And story wise, you can build upon the story that you had in Shadowfall that has the Helghast and the ISA on one planet. Now, you could just swipe the slate clean and just do a reboot of both of them, where you can just be like, hey, aliens invaded the Chimera here, Resistance Fall of Man. Or restart, reboot, and just do Killzone all over again. Um, I don't know. I personally, I would rather have Killzone, and maybe I'm
Okay.
biased in this, but that's why I said Gorilla, especially after they did that, because like I said, it was like it's like a minute long, and I wish I could find it, but Gorilla did this whole thank you, and that shit started with Killzone, and I was like, interesting, you started with Killzone.
Well, I mean, you started with the game that started them.
True, but I guess what I'm saying is, I just find it interesting that you did this after your biggest hit was Horizon. And why are you doing this whole thank you for supporting us starting with Killzone, which in my conspiracy brain I'm like, oh, because you're gonna bring Killzone back. That's just how I feel about
Okay. Uh, and I also wrote on this note that they did the Decima engine, which powers Death Stranding.
it. Mm-hmm.
Earlier this year, and I'm getting this from Wikipedia, which I don't know where they sourced it from, but I think one of the head honchos at Guerrilla Games was going to be focusing on doing more technology or more stuff with the Decima engine. I'm wondering if that means they're going to try and get that engine to all of Sony first party studios, so everybody's working on that engine. I know a big thing for developers is a lot of people use the Unreal Engine, which is great, and Unreal
Mm-hmm.
Engine 5 is out, but that means you're also paying licensing fees to Epic. I'm sure Sony would like to not have to do that. And if you're using your own engine that you created
Mm-hmm.
and you teach all your other studios how to do it, that'd be great. And that'd be one less thing you have to worry about development cost.
Well, see, here's the thing. The reason why is I think Death Stranding 2 is going to be there from Gorilla and saying Gorilla Games is because you had this big game, you just showed it off. You had the sequel just showed off at the Video Game Awards, and you, like you said, show off this engine with Death Stranding 2 to be like, hey, come to Death Row Records. We got this engine. We're going to show you how to use it. Whereas
Mhm.
Microsoft is still stepping on rakes. And they have this engine, like you said, we don't have to pay licensing fees. First, and basically, it's almost like because we've seen Sony do it before when Microsoft announced the Xbox Series X, and that was a whole catastrophe. And then Sony came out with like a minute long video, was like, hey, man, do. This is what the PlayStation 4 does. And it just killed whatever Microsoft had going
Not
for them.
Series Xbox, Xbox One.
Xbox One, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see them being a Suge Knight and saying, first party titles, we got this engine, come to Death Row Records.
Yep. That I think that's the positive. I think a negative is sometimes, and again, I'm not a game developer, but sometimes engines are really designed to work with certain types of games, and they may not work for everything. And I know when I think it was EA had the Frostbite engine. I feel
Hmm.
like it was EA's Frostbite engine.
Yep.
They tried to get everybody to use that engine, and there are a couple of times where people are like, "Yeah, the game we're trying to make isn't really working with this engine, and it's kind of messing up and throwing stuff off." And that's why you got issues with like Anthem and like some Bioware
Whoa,
stuff.
whoa, whoa. We don't talk about Anthem.
I mean, they don't talk about Anthem anymore either.
We don't
But
talk
I
about
mean,
Anthem.
The Frostbite engine didn't help for everything they were trying to do. Like EA said, "Hey, we can make this work for everything." Like, no, it's not. Let's go back to Unreal Engine 5 and start over again. So,
Okay.
yeah.
To go back to what we were talking about when it comes to this was the trailer I was talking about. So here's the thank you 20 years, thank you. So this is the thing I was talking about. You started with Killzone, and I'm like, it's interesting that you started with Killzone in this, and for 25 seconds, 30 seconds, it's all Killzone. I just find that just interesting. You didn't start with Horizon and then go back. So
Because you
you and
wouldn't. That's not how you do a timeline video.
but what I'm saying is it is a timeline video, yes. But what I'm saying is if you're gonna show off your best stuff, why would you not have the most recent thing you did and then go back to Killzone to remind people, oh, we had this as well. You see what I'm saying? In other words, I think it's a considerate effort to remind you we have Killzone. And that's why I said coming up at this PlayStation showcase, I believe that's a concerted effort to remind you because most of this is Horizon, Decima Engine, like you talked about. I just feel like those two properties are something we're going to see again in this showcase.
You think you're going to see Horizon and Killzone in the showcase?
No, I think you're going to see the Decima Engine and Killzone in the showcase.
Okay.
That's just me. So I just wanted to bring that up because we talked about it. I wanted people to see it. Um, so what's next? Because we've given Gorilla enough attention.
Next up on this list is Housemark.
Now, Housemark is a new first party developer because they bought it after Returnal came out, correct?
I don't know if it was before or after, but around that same time. Yeah.
Okay, so Housemark is one of the newest first party developers. Um, Out of all the games that they have, which one interests you the most?
So for me, Housemark is interesting. So the latest game they had was Returnal, which is 2021.
Hmm.
If you don't know them beyond that, they're really known for like arcade,
Hmm.
quick pick up and play games. They gave us Super Stardust, Dead Nation, Resogun, Alienation,
Hold on,
Next.
is it Resogun or Resogun?
I don't know.
Because I either way, I love that game. I really enjoy that game. I bought that on the man. I wish I had it. I bought that on the Vita and enjoyed it. And I'm like, ugh, should I buy it again? Because I kind of want to buy it again. And
Yeah.
I want it on the Steam Deck.
They gave us also Next Machina, Matterfall, and then Returnal most recently. So with them, I think they could be working on something new. We could see whatever their thing is. Maybe it's a cinematic trailer. I
Mhm.
don't think it's going to be like a sequel to any of this stuff because they don't really do sequels. I guess you could kind of say Stardust, but Stardust was like an updated version of things. I kind of feel like they work on new things, like, oh, we're trying to do different things. I think what they said when they made Returnal, they liked the idea of doing longer form versions of games as opposed to these quick pick up and play games that they did with the arcade stuff.
Now, keep in mind, Returnal's also a roguelike.
Uh-huh.
So that also plays into it. My question is, what would be, because they're all over the place. So what would their next?
I think the next game would be more in line, and not in terms of gameplay, but more in terms of length. It might be like a more like a Returnal than your Super Stardust or your Resogun or Dead Nation. I feel like it'd be
Or Dead Nation.
a little more,
Okay.
um, a little more meat on the bone than like a one of those other games.
Okay.
Because I think
But
they like that doing that.
now I don't know if House Spark will be announced now because again, you just said their last game was Returnal. They just got finished with that, and I believe that there is a now that game just came to. I believe that game is on the PlayStation Plus,
Hmm.
whatever
Yeah.
thingy they got.
Yep.
Um, and Returnal is on
PC.
Steam.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, because it is on PC. So I don't know if it's too soon for them to be announcing something now. But the next studio, because we already talked about Insomniac, London Studio.
Hmm.
I'm not familiar with them.
I like London Studio because I was a big fan of SingStar. I love karaoke games. Uh,
Is that the game with the
yep.
microphone
Yep.
apparatus? Okay.
Yeah. They did a bunch of different SingStar versions. I think there was a SingStar ABBA, SingStar 80s, 90s, all that kind of stuff. They did that. I really like
I
that.
remember it because their boxes were
Hmm.
big because it came with the
Yeah.
microphone,
Yeah.
correct?
They also did. Do you remember
Okay.
iToy? They did a
Yes.
bunch of iToy stuff as well. And then they did Gangs of London, which was, I don't know if it was a VR game or just I don't think that one was a VR. Was that VR?
Mm.
No, Blood. I think Blood and Truth was VR. Gangs of London. I feel like that might have had Colin Salmon in it, the black guy.
Colin who?
Salmon. Isn't that his name?
I don't know. I don't. Colin Simon.
No, Salmon.
Colin Salmon.
That's not how you say it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not trying to be funny. I don't know.
Colin. Here we go. This dude. That dude.
Hmm. No, I don't know
You
him.
know him.
He
He was the black guy in Resident Evil that got cut up by the laser grid.
Oh yeah. When you were talking about singing, I expected somebody to be because he's also in the Rise of 300 as the guy who trains uh uh Eva
Green.
Green.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah, I know who he
Yeah.
is. When you kept saying it, I was like, I don't know that man. I didn't know that was his name. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
he's in. He was. I think he
I
was in the
just know
game Gangs of London.
I just know that he's the black guy that I always see kicking ass and taking names and got it sliced up in
Yeah.
Resident Evil.
I think the latest thing they were working on, according to a report, is a cooperative
Mhm.
multiplayer game set in modern fantasy London.
Okay,
Cool.
I'm
Yeah.
down.
Let's see what
Uh,
that is. Their last game was in 2019, so that was like 4 years ago. So we could see whatever this cooperative game is they're working on. We know that
okay.
Sony is making a push for more multiplayer stuff. They talked about they're really trying to get into live services. So who knows what this is going to be?
Now we know that there is a live service game coming from Sony because they bought Bungie.
Hmm.
So there's a reason why they bought Bungie. We know that there's a live service game coming. My question is, who's going to make it? And will this be a studio who helps build it, or does Bungie back whoever builds it up?
Yep.
Um, I'm not familiar. Like I know the game, but I'm not familiar with this next one either.
Media Molecule.
So, yep,
Uh,
I know the game, but I'm not familiar with the studio.
so yeah, they do Little Big Planet. They did Tearaway. They did Dreams. The big thing that I like about Media Molecule is they're very big on letting the player create their own worlds, which is very
Hmm.
cool. Little Big Planet was this game that's where Sackboy came from, the mascot Sackboy, and you
Yes.
would learn how to develop and create your own levels and send them out to the world in the levels that they created. Then they improved upon that, I think, with what Dreams is a
Hmm.
service, a game, I guess a creation suite that will no longer get any more updates, which sucks. But came out in 2019 or 2020, and it really lets you go ham in terms of creating your own worlds and miniature game modes and games in a whole new system, which was awesome. So I don't know what they're working on something new. They haven't announced it or they haven't said what it was, but they said they are working on something new. That announcement just came out, I think, this year. because I feel
Mhm.
like it kind of happened around the same time when Pixel Opus was announced to be closed. So we probably won't see them, but I like the studio because of the creativity it gives players.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, the next one I think is a definite um, Naughty Dog.
Hmm.
I think Naughty Dog is a definite only because we know there is a Last of Us multiplayer game coming.
Hmm.
The Last of Us show just came out. It was a hit. I believe we just saw Last of Us PS5 remake. We saw the Last of Us um, PC version was announced. I believe the multiplayer factions game will be announced now.
Yeah.
Now I don't. Now here's another thing. I know that they talked about the Uncharted series was Nathan Drake's adventures were over,
Hmm.
but we did have was it Lost? What was the
Lost
what was
Legacy with the two
the
girls,
Last
with the two
Lost?
ladies.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would be interested to see if they continue because you don't just leave Uncharted off to the side without like doing something new.
Sure.
So do you continue that storyline with the two women? Or do you follow Nathan's brother who just was announced and then go that because he was in that game as
Hmm.
well? Do you go that route or do you
You could go
just
with daughter. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Um, a lot of people are really clamoring for another Crash Bandicoot game. And I'm not sure if that's something that they're working on, but I do believe Naughty Dog with Insomniac will be front and center at this PlayStation showcase.
Sure.
There's if if Naughty Dog is not mentioned, I will be shocked.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I feel like of everything, like for definite, I feel like we'll see Spider-Man 2 and we'll see Naughty Dog. Everything else, I don't know.
What Naughty Dog will show, I have no
Yeah.
idea. They could be a new IP. It could be The Last of Us multiplayer. I don't know. It hell they and I believe it would have been leaked before now. They could literally say Last of Us 3 is coming, throw up a slate, and then everybody just
Sure.
oh
Yeah.
passes out. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Now they talked about that the Last of Us 3 game is years in the future, but I just feel like the way that game ended Last of Us 2, and I like Last of Us 2 after I finally finished it and understand what they were trying to do. Shout out to Girlfriend Reviews because they did one of the best jobs of explaining what the idea behind Last of Us Part Two was. I know a lot of people is very divisive. Um, certain parts was divisive. I'm not going to spoil it here. We've talked about it at length. I enjoyed Last of Us 2. It took me a while to figure out what was going on, and I appreciate it. So I think Naughty Dog is a shoe in for this showcase.
For sure. For sure. We talked about Pixel Opus for a second. They
Now,
definitely won't be there because they are closed.
now here's my question. Whenever you and I've asked you this before off camera, but so explain to people the studio is closed. What happens when a studio is closed from your experience? Do they normally close it and then have people just scatter,
Well,
or when they close it, do they absolve? Do those things end up being absolved in other studios?
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I would imagine those employees. There's probably some sort of relocation effort to move those employees to other studios. They were working
Okay.
on some sort of game with Sony Animation. Don't know what
Mhm.
that was going to be. Um, like my tinfoil hat theory is, man, it would be awesome
Put it on.
if it was
Put it on.
Sony Animation. Also means Spider-Man Spider Verse.
Hey man, put the tinfoil
So
hat on.
that so
That's
that
what
would
we
be
do
cool
here.
if it was a Spider Verse game. Probably wasn't because there's no
I
way they
love
would have canceled it, but that would be cool.
I love the fact that I'm drinking and you're the one with the tinfoil hat conclusions. And I'm like, let's play it safe.
Yeah. Um,
I love how we swap roles because I'm usually the hot take dude.
well, yeah. I mean, I don't know what that game was going to be, but the fact that it's canceled, we probably won't see the light of day. I doubt it got moved anywhere. But I just want to shout Pixel
Okay.
Opus out because they did make a game called Concrete Genie, which was a fun game where you got to essentially do graffiti on different streetscapes throughout a world, and they kind of talked about bullying and the idea of hurt people hurt people. a thing that our
Mm.
friend of the show, Lauren, always
Lauren.
talks about. Hurt people, and it's a very it was a like a social conscience game. I think he got an award for that too, of just bringing to light the fact of getting people to talk about their feelings. Very cool
Okay.
game. Next up,
Great.
Polyphony Digital, Gran Turismo. They probably won't be here because all they do is Gran Turismo. They're good at it, but
Here's the thing. I disagree with that. You know why?
why?
Because there's a movie coming out, and
Yeah, but I feel like you show the movie. I don't feel like you show the. I guarantee there's no game coming out.
here's the thing. I don't know if there's a game coming out, but it would not be surprising to me that, again, we talked about this earlier. Sony's making movies and video games. So Sony's making movie, video games, and television series. But we know that Twisted Metal is a TV series that's coming out. We know that Gran Turismo is a movie coming out. I would not be shocked if they did not show something from the movie highlighting Gran Turismo 7, considering that game just came out, and some type of DLC with that game, considering the movie's coming out. That's just the reason why I said it is because you don't announce a property like that without a game tie-in. Last of Us did the same thing. And I think Sony's smart enough to say, okay, if we have something coming out, because there's no way in the world Sony doesn't make Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and didn't have a companion Spider-Man game coming out, which they have done every single time. So Across the Spider-Verse is coming out this year. Spider-Man 2 comes out. Spider-Verse came out before, and Spider-Man was right around that corner. So I think Gran Turismo is going to be the same thing. And hot take, I think Twisted Metal is the same way. I think they're going to announce Twisted Metal. They're going to show more from the Twisted Metal show sometime, and they're going to announce Twisted Metal's back. That's why I think this studio is very important.
Yeah, I don't see Polyphony Digital being there at all. I don't.
Okay.
And
That's
what I
just
mean
that's
that
me.
is, I don't see them showing a new game. I mean, sure they could show Gran Turismo 7, but I don't count that as that. That doesn't mean anything to me. You showing me a game that
See,
already
I
exists, that means nothing to me.
I think I disagree because I think you're going to show some DLC in conjunction with the movie coming out. And I think for people who like car games, Forza from Microsoft and Gran Turismo, those are the two main ones. I think you show some DLC.
Okay. San Diego studio. They do sports stuff.
Mm, I don't know.
They ain't gonna be there. MLB the show's already out. They don't do DLC for MLB the show. Not like that.
Okay, if you say
I don't.
so, you're you're the expert. So
I don't want that title. That's when it comes
like
back
I
to
said,
bite me in the face.
I'm here for the hot takes, and that's what I said. For me, I think Polyphony is going to be there, but you say San Diego's not going to be there. I trust your judgment.
I
Now,
don't. I mean, what you gonna show?
I'm just saying, I
They
just trust
already
your judgment.
announced the Negro League stuff. That's already was already a thing.
Son, the funniest thing is, I know that that's a real thing, but the way you said it, I was like, he is being an asshole.
No, that's a part of the game.
I know. I remember when it came out because the Negro League Museum tweeted it out and like highlighted it, like, "Hey,
Mhm.
pay attention." And I was like, I still want to go to that museum. But go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good. So after San Diego studio, you got Santa Monica studio
They not showing up. And you know when they're showing up? To flash the money that they
from
made
Gears of
with that
War.
drip. And yeah,
So in your mind, you were talking about studios could still show up even if they don't show something new. They may show something. Do you think maybe they're like, man, God of War Ragnarok really made a lot of money, and here are the numbers?
no, you know if they show up, you know what they'll show up
What?
for? God of War is coming out next year on the PC. Suck it.
Oh, Ragnarok or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because Sony is not about not making that
Hmm.
money. And if they show up, they're showing up to tell you, because here's the thing. Microsoft is the king of this. They were the ones who really pushed you can play our games on the Microsoft PlayStation, Microsoft Xbox engine or Xbox console, or it's on PC.
Hmm.
Sony's late to the party, and they have lost millions by not having their games on PC. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what internal memos that they got that they were like, "Hey, man, we're leaving money on the table."
Mhm.
And Sony is now actively pushing their games, making sure their games are on PC. Now it's taken a while, but they have been constantly updating and making sure that their games are on the Steam engine or Steam or on
The Steam store.
Steam store. And we've seen Spider-Man was released last year, complete edition. We've seen Horizon Zero. We've seen God of War when it was announced, and these games came out at $50 and $60. Um, Microsoft took a hit by releasing Redfall at $70, broken. I would not be surprised if now, granted, PC ports have not been perfect in the past. There are plenty of channels, Digital Foundry being the best one in my opinion. Thank you for introducing me to them, of highlighting performance issues when it comes to these PC ports. But I would not be shocked if they showed up and said, "Do you remember God of War Ragnarok? Well, guess what, PC gamers? It's coming next year, fall 2024."
Okay. All right. Last development studio that was listed, Sucker Punch. These are the people that gave us Sly Cooper, which I love. Sly Cooper, come back with Sly Cooper. They gave
Man, Sly
us.
Cooper ain't come.
They gave us.
They ain't coming.
Fuck you. They
Nope.
gave us Infamous as well. I really love the Infamous, and then most recently they gave us Ghost of Tsushima. They gave us a multiplayer Ghost of Tsushima Legends in 2021. We know they're working on a Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think you're going to see it here because they just
I think.
announced it. I don't like. What are you
I
going to
think.
show?
I. I think you're going to see a teaser.
Okay.
I think you're going to see the official teaser for part two, and we know that there's a movie coming
Hmm.
out. Now, I don't know if you show the title screen of the movie, you show the actor, kind of like with the video game awards where you had the actor come out as Cal Kestis. I don't know
Have they
how that
announced
works.
anybody like actors? Like they just announced a
Nope.
director, right? Do we? Yeah.
Yep. But this game will be shown. Part two will be shown at this showcase because I think that's important for their brand going forward. Hey, after Spider-Man, because you talked about this in the beginning, after Spider-Man, where do you go? You go here. I think this is a big one. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Remember when we watched the video game awards? I think Shauna was there, friend of the show, Shauna. Um, and this game came out, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then I played it,
Hmm.
and I was like, I was a believer. I think this right here is going to be the one that they show.
Okay.
I think Sucker Punch is going to be there, and I think it's going to be the one where they show something from this game, whether it's just a 30-second intro, whether it's a pre-made cinematic, whatever, whether it's a announcement of whoever the actor is who's going to play Jin. I think you show something from this game
Okay.
or this property.
The next we have a bunch of support studios. I don't really want to name them because they're just support studios. No offense, but
Now here's the thing that I think. I think you sold your list a little short. I think two things will be shown at this. Now, I don't know if they will show this game per se. Square Enix is going to be shown here.
well, again, the list I have is first party stuff, so I wouldn't have put that on there.
Well, I know you said first party. I think Square Enix is going to show up at this showcase.
Okay.
And I think something from Square Enix could be either this,
What do you mean this?
Guardians of the Galaxy, Part 2, announced, sequel,
Okay.
or Final Fantasy.
Sure.
I think what Square Enix is going to show up, and I think Square Enix is going to show up either with Final Fantasy or something new. Now, this was a great game.
I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
This was a great game. Um, I think now Final Fantasy.
Now, did it sell well though?
Here's the thing: it did. So that's the thing. It did sell pretty well, and that's my question: is it too soon for them to already announce a sequel?
I mean, hey, if you said it sells well, you can do whatever. Um,
About to go pull up the numbers. Go ahead.
well,
Continue.
no, so the list that we had was just Sony first party studios. So now we can talk about third party stuff. So
Okay,
that's where
because
you get it. Yeah, again, this list was only first party stuff.
I didn't think you were going to go too much into the supports. That's why I brought it up.
Sorry,
So
when I mean support, I don't mean I mean they're still first party studios, but they are support studios for the other first party studios. Like you
mhm.
have Nixis, San Mateo, Valkyrie Entertainment, they all support the other ones. Because you also have Haven Studios and Firework Studios. Those two studios are kind of working on live service stuff when, like we were talking about when they bought Bungie and all that stuff. Haven Studios is run by Jade Raymond. That is the woman who was the producer and an executive producer on a bunch of the Assassin's Creed games. Then she got her own studio to work with Google Stadia, and then Google
Mhm.
Stadia shit the bed and she said, "I'm out. Let me go start another new studio, Haven Studio," and then that got picked up by Sony. So now we're in the third party stuff. So bring up what you want to talk about third party wise. You were
I
talking about
think
Konami. You were talking about all kinds of stuff. What we got?
so. Here's the thing. I think now. I think third party again. I think even though this did not, so I'm been looking up. It didn't hit the sales numbers that Square Enix had for it, but with the addition of this game being on Game Pass, I think this game is due for a sequel. I think that they believe in this game, even though it didn't hit sales numbers the way it wanted to. I believe the last thing that they talked about was that it met a 8 million. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up while my nose itches a little bit. In an earnings briefing, Square Enix revealed that the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy performed below sales expectation, despite critical acclaim. Despite its critical acclaim and possible word of mouth, failed to meet sales expectations. But Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy has reached 8 million players, and that's with the help of Game Pass, which I, in my mind, I believe, and maybe I'm a little biased. I want a sequel. I think this was a good
Oh,
game.
sure,
If you
yeah,
haven't
I
played
want
it,
a sequel.
pick it up. I think that's a sequel that Square Enix is going to do. My other big bet is Konami shows up and there's a Metal Gear Solid announcement. I don't now everybody's banking on a 3 remake.
That's what I want.
That's what everybody's talking about, a 3 remake. Now I have no inside knowledge. Again, if you want inside knowledge, we're not the Negroes for you. We're here for the hot takes and the comedy. But um, I believe that there will be a Metal Gear Solid announcement only because in some earnings calls, Konami has mentioned that they are doing well with their you said the pachinko
Uh huh.
machines and their mobile gaming. However, they have not seen the growth that they need. So, what is Konami known for? Metal Gear Solid,
Castlevania.
Silent Silent Hill, and
Uh huh.
Castlevania. One, if not all three of those titles will be announced at this showcase.
Interesting.
I like this is where I and again, if Sony is smart and you're in this for the money in the business, you have to understand Microsoft is playing a different game that you're not prepared to play yet. So you play the game that you're good at, which is making great titles for your console. You worry about that thing that Microsoft is doing later. You kick that can down the road while you build that infrastructure with the games that says, oh, you like Game Pass, but Game Pass ain't got this shit.
Hmm.
That's what I think the game Sony is playing. And in order for that to happen, you have to announce the games. And I think that's where Square Enix and Konami come in.
Okay.
Those are
For
my hot
Square
takes.
Enix, I don't know. Well, I think Guardians might be a hot take, but the fact if Square Enix showing up, I think Square Enix showing up is definitely a possibility. We know Final Fantasy 16 is exclusive console wise to
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation. I
Yep.
think maybe they announced a demo because we know the game is coming out in June. I think maybe they're like,
Yep.
hey, there's a demo out right now. Play the first hour of the game
Because
and
didn't they
if
do
you
that with
buy
Seven?
the
The remake of
if when
Seven,
they
didn't they
come
do
out,
that?
yeah. And
Hmm.
if you buy the game, all of the progress that you made in that first hour will transfer over, so you don't have to pay for it.
Transfers. Okay.
I think that could be something.
That would be
I
smart.
would
That would
love
be
to
smart.
see Final Fantasy 7,
Hot take. Hot
yeah,
take.
Final
Come on,
Fantasy
bring a
7
hot take.
Part 2.
Oh, you're right.
We
We
know they're
haven't heard
working
anything
on it.
from that.
Uh, we
We haven't heard anything
we've
from it.
seen a little bit of gameplay, but who knows? They said that game, like the earliest it would come out would be
25.
2024.
Really?
Yeah, but it would be like the next quarter, so it maybe like it would be the winter of 2024. I think I can remember something like that.
Oh, okay.
But we'll definitely get Final Fantasy 16 first. But I would love to see another video of
Question.
that.
How many more of those are they going to
There's
do?
supposed
In
to be
other
three of
words,
them
because
total.
there's supposed to be
Yeah.
three. So, okay.
So this is the second one that they're working on. There's supposed to be three total.
Okay.
I would love to see that. And again, give me
Hot
give me
take.
Chrono Trigger.
You're not getting
Just
that.
give me
I'll
that.
console you
Yeah.
later. However, comma, do you believe Square Enix will announce when they do the third volume of this game, when it comes to seven, a collected edition where
Um,
you get all three?
Probably. I mean, that's another way to make money.
And if they did that,
Would I buy it? I
yep.
don't think so.
Really?
No,
Oh,
because I
okay.
mean, I already got like the I'm not. I don't really buy remasters of games that already own it,
What I'm
especially
saying
not if
is,
one that is because if I already bought one and two, I'm not going to then buy another thing that has one, two, and three in it. That's going to be super expensive.
here's my question, and this is where I'm preying on your whole I'm not good with money thing. You bought one, the super stupid
Uh huh.
edition, right? They announce a
Hmm.
two. Would you buy that stupid special edition?
I would
Depends
need,
on
yeah, I
what
would need to
comes.
see what the item is.
So what I'm thinking is three comes out, they have a super stupid special edition, but or you could buy this three pack with all three games, and it has this super stupid special whatever, and then you could sell one and two, whatever you decide to
I
do, and
don't
keep the
think that
stupid
far
special
down the
stuff.
line, so I probably wouldn't.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Maybe you know what, I might have to talk to you and Kate and get it to sell it for me.
hey
Maybe,
man,
but yeah, because
hey, that's what we do
my
here.
thinking is I've already bought one and two. I'm not going to buy one and two again. Like my brain didn't even think to sell them. So
See, because I'm thinking business
uh-huh.
wise. You make a one, you make a two, you make a stupid special edition, but and we see this all the time. They always do this. Whenever they make a one, two, whatever, Star Wars has done it, Jurassic Park. So this is, if you can't see, this is the 6 movie collection that I bought for Katie. Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World, Jurassic World, Jurassic World, all the whatever.
Hmm.
I feel like gaming has got to that point where they're realizing, oh, we can repack this shit and sell it again.
Yeah. I'm not really a big person on buying repackaged stuff if I've already bought it once, unless there's like a substantial upgrade to it. And I don't see them doing a substantial upgrade to the first one because they already did it already. So I wouldn't do it
That's
again.
interesting that you're smarter about it than I am because I'm the dummy who's like, oh, it's in 4K. Well, let me sell all this other shit and buy it in 4K now because I'm buying a 4K belly and a steelbook.
Oh
I
God,
saw it at Best
belly,
Buy. I saw it
man,
at Best Buy and I was like, when do I get paid again? Yeah, I'm gonna buy
belly,
that.
wonderful. You got any other hot takes?
I mean, I got belly in this, man. I'm done with hot takes.
Okay, I can't think of any other. So I think you saw the report or whatever, like what's going to be rumored. Is there anything you want to bring up, or you're
I
good?
feel like this is, and as much as I want this to be awesome, I want the Microsoft showcase to be just as awesome. But I feel like when it comes to the studios of proven games, Sony has been outside of Nintendo when it comes to first party. Sony is the staple. Sony is the one who says, if you want to play first party titles, single player campaigns, whether they be RPGs, um, action adventure games, platformers. We are the house that gives you those things. And I think out of everything that is rumored, they just need 4 or 5,
Sure.
and they set the pace going forward. You announce, you already know you're going to get a Spider-Man. We already know that there's a Death Stranding 2 coming. We already know that there's a Ghost of Tsushima coming, a part 2. So that's 3 we already know is coming. We know there's a multiplayer uh,
Last of Us.
Last of Us. Thank you. That's 4 things we already know is coming down the pipeline. Now, whether or not they get announced now or shown, neither here nor there. Then you throw in Insomniac's Wolverine. That's 5 things we already know that's on the books coming. Final Fantasy 6, that's coming down the pipeline. Konami's
16.
Oh, I said 6, but
You did.
I meant 6 as that's a
Oh,
6
okay.
thing. 16. So that's a 6 thing. And then you throw in Square Enix and Konami are working on stuff. I don't know what those things are, but I know that those 2 studios.
Well, Square Enix is Final Fantasy.
Square Enix Final Fantasy, we know that's
Yeah.
coming, but Square Enix also is known for other things. I was looking for it. What else? Square Enix. And here's another thing, another hot take. Now, I don't know if they'll be announced at either one of these showcases, whether it's Microsoft or Sony. But we know a sequel to this is a DLC is this is coming, and a sequel to that is coming. Who gets it? I don't know. It could be Summer Game Fest, or it could be at one of these showcases. But somebody is going to show it off, and whoever gets it, or it could it's going to be amazing. And I think Sony is that console that says you come here for the games. Now, the infrastructure, Microsoft has got them beat.
Mm-hmm.
But Sony is known for the games. And I just feel like they're announcing an hour. They're not announcing an hour for just shits and giggles. They're in it to win it. So.
Sure. All right, folks. We went for about an hour and a half.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize we did win that long.
Oh, well, no, I can't read. I don't know how to read numbers. Sorry, an hour and 12 minutes, not an hour and a half. Okay. That'll be it for this one. We will do another version of this for Xbox closer to their showcase in June. So maybe we'll do that in the next press play. Yeah. What got you through the week?
This. Sorry. Move some things around. We talked about Steam earlier in one of our other videos, I think. Or did we? I don't know. We talked about Steam here. This. I know everybody's, talking about the Asus ROG and IO Neo, but this, I've been playing Hyper Light Drifter.
Sure, it's a good game.
Oh, you played it?
I've seen it played.
I've been really playing a couple of things on that, and Class of 09 and Silo.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and Dungeons and Dragons is out on Paramount Plus. Really underrated movie. I really enjoyed that.
I hope that gets enough love so they get to make a sequel, because that was a lot of fun to watch.
It was a lot of fun. It was.
For me, I was excited because I bought something on Amazon a while ago. I forgot that I bought it, and it came in yesterday. Mm-hmm. In the Line of Duty 1 through 4. Here we go.
I don't know that. In the Line of Duty. What is that?
Is that action figures?
Oh, it's a movie. Oh,
no, 4 movies. Michelle Yeoh, Cynthia Rothrock. For people who love like old Hong Kong style kung fu movies, like this is some good shit. Okay. Cynthia Rothrock. You may not know her name, but she is like,
I know her. That's a badass white girl.
Yeah, that is a badass white girl. And this is her in her prime doing stuff with Michelle Yeoh and all that stuff. And there was a big sale to get like In the Line of Duty movies 1 through 4. It's in the same vein as like Super Cop 1, 2, and 3 and all that stuff with Jackie Chan and all that kind of stuff.
Whenever I think of Cynthia Rothrock, I think of that line where I forget who says it when he's like, "I am the danger." That's that white girl.
She's badass.
Yeah, she's that woman.
Yeah. So I'm excited to watch those. I might watch those tonight actually. But that came for me 1 through 4.
Okay.
Nice little collection. I think it was like 50 bucks or something. It's not even in 4K, it's in 2K. That's the best they could do was 2K.
Hey,
But that's still better than it was.
I forgot about a hot take.
Yeah. Oh, near Automata? Okay.
Hmm. I forgot about a hot take. I had it up sitting up here and I was putting it away and I was like, oh, Square Enix, they're going to announce something outside of Final Fantasy. So I just feel like just be prepared, whatever it is. So yeah, we like Michael said, we've been for an hour. We really appreciate your support. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell everybody that we're here. We're just two brothers trying to make it in this cold, cold world. And
There we go.
if you like what we do, tell us. Comment. We really love to hear from you. And tell us what else you would like to see from us. What other foolishness and shenanigans would you like to see us get into? Tell your family, your friends, your enemies. Tell everybody. We're here.
And we out.
Deuces.
Deuces.
Go Celtics.
Go Celtics. There we go.